Serenity is a 2005 American space western film, written and directed by Joss Whedon. Discussion of Whedon as a person is outside the scope of this video. Plenty of receipts exist online. I just wanted to acknowledge that. The crew of Serenity, a Firefly-class spaceship, are cargo-running smugglers who are interrupted by a mysterious passenger with a dangerous secret. Though they are related, I will look at Serenity as a standalone entity birthed from the Firefly-verse for the purpose of this video. While there are some surface-level Western motifs, like speech patterns, costumes, and props, Serenity does qualify as a psychological Western in its own right. The Alliance terraformed and colonized a solar system for productive purposes as the primary political power. It plays the role of the righteous white Christian Western townsfolk, as can be seen in the films Stagecoach and High Noon, and has labeled the settlers of the Outer Rim uncivilized. This division is noted among the Serenity crew. Kaylee worries that Simon and River's neat and tidy appearance is a giveaway that they don't belong in the Outer Rim. Of Simon, Kaylee says, "He doesn't spit," to acknowledge that he was raised in an Alliance society but now exists in outlaw space. Competence is a mandatory virtue in Westerns. Incompetence means failure and death on the Western frontier. Survival requires skill in the Outer Rim of planets where the Alliance provides little protection. The Alliance is seen as incompetent. The organization of its reach to control the Outer Rim has faltered, if it ever was steady. This is why the Alliance is no longer deserving of its power from the point of view of the settlers, who have to be competent to survive. The Alliance may not have displaced any local populations to create their domain, but they did create their own worst enemy by unconsensually tinkering with the chemistry of 30 million humans to accidentally create fast zombies called Reavers. Westerns dramatize technology and set it in contrast to the wild frontier. Now and in the verse, information promotes freedom and should be free. Mr. Universe personifies the internet, and his tagline is, "Can't stop the signal." Indeed, the Alliance can't stop the flow of information that its civilization thrives on. Like the telegraph and railway in early Western films, the technological flow of information is unstoppable. Ultimately, Mal, Serenity's captain, weaponizes this flow of information against the Alliance to weaken it. Serenity doesn't have an enlightened perspective towards people of color, and therefore isn't a revisionist Western. The premise is that the Alliance was founded by the two greatest powers on Earth, the United States and China. This appears to be an excuse to include Asian design elements and allow characters to swear in Mandarin, as there are no Asian cast members. Asian people are marginalized as extras who cower on the floor during a heist, or as an exoticized dancer in a tavern, and not as integral members of society. In a psychological Western, the action takes place within the hero's psyche, as well as the physical action of the film. The psychological Western hero is someone who wants to do the right thing, is also flawed, jaded, outmoded by technological progress, and isolated to some degree. Serenity fits this criteria. Mal starts off jaded, struggling to make a dishonest living on his outdated spaceship, and living in a depressed sort of nihilism. There is conflict within the crew as to who belongs on board and who doesn't. They balk at Mal's plan to take on the Alliance, the powerful entity that has killed all of their friends. On his journey, Mal gains a belief in the power of information to prevent history from repeating itself. He aims to save the lives of his crew, armed with the terrible truth about Reavers that will weaken the Alliance. To get his crew invested in his plan, Mal says, "I mean to live. The Alliance won't have that, so we go where they don't follow." Mal chooses to fight instead of letting the Alliance choose how he's going to die. In an otherwise dark and drab color scheme befitting a sci-fi film, bright sunlight beams through the windows of the ship to where the crew is gathered. Of the deceased 30 million people on planet Miranda, due to the Alliance's plan to weed out aggression and make people safer, Mal says, "Somebody has to speak for these people, otherwise the Alliance will swing back to the belief that they can make people better." Half of writing history is hiding the truth. The Western rogue hero is portrayed as more resilient than their environment. Westerns dramatize a stylized, rugged independence, and the Western hero displays a necessary grit and endurance for obtaining that resiliency. It is common to see a hero fall out of alignment with society in Westerns. In the verse, the Alliance is morally off-kilter like the town in High Noon. Typically, a lone cowboy would right the situation before riding off into the sunset. Instead, we have the crew of Serenity showing us that having allies means you have a better chance of staying alive. Mal starts off as a nihilist-flavored anti-hero, but turns rogue hero when he finds belief in doing the right thing. The Serenity crew are shown as having the resiliency and courage needed to fly into Reaver space, something no one has willingly done. Mal plans to fly with their dead friends strapped to the outside of their ship to disguise themselves as a Reaver vessel. Zoe says, "Do you plan to make our home an abomination to make a suicidal attempt at passing through Reaver space?" The hero of a psychological Western has a clear moral objective despite their flaws. This is shown when they try to do the right thing. The heroes are meant to sacrifice something of themselves for something greater than themselves. The Serenity crew sacrifices themselves to free damning information about colonizer conduct. Not only do they display the competence, courage, and resilience to survive the physical and philosophical fight with the Alliance, the journey cements their relationship with each other as chosen family, no matter where in the verse they come from.